Hey guys, welcome to my channel Machine Learning Tutorials. Today we're going to learn about Jupyter Notebooks and also find out why they're becoming so popular nowadays. So let's start by seeing how we can install them. The link to this website is given in the description. There are basically two ways you can install them. The one recommended by this website is to install Anaconda. Anaconda comes with Jupyter Notebook pre-installed along with many other libraries and frameworks. So if you're using a Mac, you can follow a tutorial of mine on how to install Anaconda. I have added the link to that in the description as well. And if you're on Windows, you can easily find a video on YouTube which will guide you on how to install Anaconda. The second way, which I would not recommend, is to install it using pip. You can do that simply by running this command on your terminal if you're using a Mac and command prompt if you're using Windows. If you installed Anaconda, open up Anaconda Navigator. If you're using a MacBook, you can find it in your applications folder. And if you're using Windows, you can search for it by hitting the Windows key. Once you're in the Anaconda Navigator, click on this launch button and it will open up the Jupyter Notebook server for you. If you installed Jupyter Notebooks using the pip command, simply open up the terminal or the command prompt depending on whatever operating system you're using. Type Jupyter Notebook and hit enter. Please mind the spellings. It's Jupyter with a Y in it, and also there's a space between Jupyter and Notebook. This is a window that will open when you launch the Jupyter Notebook server. You can navigate to whichever folder you want to create a new Jupyter Notebook in. So let's do that. I'm just going to create it over here. Click on new and Python 3. You can rename your file by clicking over here. Let's name ours test notebook. And go to the help section to check out the keyboard shortcuts. There are a lot of them and the keys will vary based on your operating system. You can customize these shortcuts as well by clicking on edit shortcuts and write your own keys for different commands. You can also get a tour of the user interface by clicking on help, and here just click next and it will continue to show you the different options that you will have in the Jupyter Notebook. Let's skip it for now. You can also find the link to the documentation of some popular Python's libraries like Matplotlib, SciPy, NumPy. You can just click over here and it will take you to that documentation. The user interface tour in the help section would have told you about what all these icons mean, but in case you haven't taken it, I'd like to tell you about some of the important ones. This one is to save and checkpoint your file. This one is to add new cells. This one is to delete cells. This one will copy a cell and this one will paste it. Let's try these two first. Let's write a basic line of code and try to paste it in the cell below. A is equal to 2. Click on this and click on the code in the cell above gets copied in a new cell below. Let's delete them now. Apart from that, you can use these arrows to navigate through the cells, down, up. You can use this to run a block or line of code. You can use this to interrupt the execution of your program. You can use this to restart your kernel, and you can use this one to restart your kernel and rerun the whole notebook. Let's now write a line of code and see how we can execute it in Jupyter Notebook. I'll write a basic one, print hello world. To run this cell, you can simply press shift and enter on your keyboard and it will run this cell. It prints hello world. There are other options to run it as well. You can simply click over here. Apart from that, you can go to the cell option over here, and if you click on run cells and select below, it will run the current cell and move to the cell below. And you can also try these options. Run all, it will execute the whole of your notebook in sequence. You can click on run all above and it will execute all the cells above your current cell. Run all below would basically run all the code that is below your current cell. This number over here is basically to show the sequence of execution of the instructions. There's one more thing I would like to show you. Let's try to import TensorFlow. This static means that this line of code is currently executing. You can halt it by clicking over here, and you can see that the kernel has been interrupted. It couldn't complete its execution. As I told you before, this number 7 signifies that this was the 7th cell to be executed in this notebook. The cell before that has the number 6. The numbering did not start from 6, but since we executed this cell multiple times just to check out the learning options that we have, this has become the 6th instruction in our notebook to be executed. This cell is annoying me a little, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Currently your code does not have line numbers, but if you want them to appear, just go to view and click on toggle line numbers. Now your line numbers will be numbered. You can see that over here. And let's now discover one of the best features of Jupyter Notebooks, which adds to its interactivity, which is the type of cells it has. The cell that we were typing in was a code cell. You can also create a markdown cell to sort of explain what is happening in your code. Let's create a markdown cell. Anything that you write over here will not be interpreted as code. This is to sort of give headings to your code and make it more readable and easier to understand. Let's see what you can do in a markdown cell. If you type in anything, let's say print hello world, it will simply appear as a text. If you want to make it appear in bold, do this. Shift enter. You can see it says print hello world in bold. To make a heading, type in hashtag, give a space and write whatever you want. Let's write Jupyter Notebook Tutorial. Let's run it. You can see it appears as a heading. You can make a H2 heading by using 2 hashtags. Let's write down markdown cells. For an H3 and H4, you can simply just continue to increase the number of hashtags. Let's try H5. I would highly recommend that whenever you are writing some code, you should add a markdown cell above to explain what is happening in the next few lines of code. If you want to run a bash command in your Jupyter Notebook, you can do that by simply entering that command with an exclamation mark in the start. Let me show you an example by trying to import NumPy. Let's run it. As you can see that the command executed, but since I already have NumPy, it says that the requirement is already satisfied. Now the last thing that I would like to tell you about is an extension which I personally really like and would definitely recommend that you install it as well. So let me show you how. You can find the link to this website in the description. Let's go a bit down to install the Nbextensions. If you install Jupyter Notebook using pip, copy this line of code, and if you have Anaconda, you should go with this one. Since I am using Anaconda, I am going to copy this line of code. Go back to your notebook, exclamation mark, let's paste that line. Now this is going to take some time, so I'm just going to skip ahead. Since I already have this installed, it says all requested packages already installed. By the way, you can also install this extension by running this command in the terminal or the command prompt without the exclamation mark. Let's now see the options that this extension gives us. Go to edit and click here. These are all the extensions that this package offers. There is a 2 to 3 converter which will basically convert code written in Python 2 into Python 3. This extension will tell you the time it took to execute a particular cell. You can see an example as well over here. Like if you ran this command, it will show this line telling you that it took 590 milliseconds to run this command. There's also a gesture extension which allows you to export your notebook to your GitHub account. And the last one, which I like the best, is the hinterland extension. Let me just enable it and I will show you exactly what it does. Let's close this tab now. Now that we have hinterland enabled, it will basically show us suggestions to complete our line of code. The hinterland extension may not be very useful when you're writing basic Python code, but when you're dealing with frameworks, it comes in very handy. I'll show you that with an example. Let's try to import the train test split from scikit-learn. If you haven't heard of it before, do not worry. This is just to show you how this hinterland extension is helpful. As you saw, it gave me suggestions as I typed the code, which can be very helpful at times. Let's run this. Another benefit of this is that when you write the name of a function, it automatically tells you the arguments that it expects. So let's try that. When you insert the brackets, it will show you that this function expects these two arguments. The last thing that I want to show you in this tutorial is this feature. So you just write down the name of the method and add a question mark at the end and run that cell. It will show you the documentation for that particular function. These are the parameters that it expects. There's also a detailed description for each parameter that it expects. If we go down, we can also see examples using this function, like this one. Let's copy this and paste it here. This is the perfect example to explain to you why this particular feature is very useful. Remembering all these parameters is actually pretty hard, especially if you are a newbie. And even if you do remember these, it's just a hassle to type in all of this. It's just far more convenient to copy an example from the documentation of this function. With that, I would like to conclude this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. I would really appreciate it if you guys could drop your feedback in the comments below. The next video will be on Google Collaboratory Notebooks. They are just like Jupyter Notebooks, except that Google offers you free GPU to train your models. So if you're interested in machine learning and artificial intelligence, you should definitely give it a try. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.